All right, Josh.
What?
We talk a lot on this show about product design.
Yes, we do.
And we've even had guests on the show specifically to talk about bringing more design, engineering, and manufacturing jobs back to this good old US of A.
Indeed we have.
And yet, somehow, I've come away feeling like we have kind of missed half of the story here.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, we do want to bring manufacturing back to America, blah, blah, blah. But as it turns out, most people in the world aren't Americans.
Yeah, that's true.
So today, I was hoping we could start a longer-term project.
Great. That's all we need. Another long-term project.
I know. Shanghai wasn't built in a day.
What? What?
It could be.
I don't think that's a saying, man.
Yeah, you
But it's
don't
not.
get it?
No,
I mean, it's a joke.
You're not
It's
making
like
things
a
up
little
again.
twist on an old saying.
You know, Corning, New York wasn't built in a day.
That's just not fair.
Welcome to Engineer versus Designer,
The podcast.
for engineers, designers, and people who make stuff. I'm Josh of SolidSmack.com.
Adam of CADJunkie.com.
This week we're kicking off a new series on outsourcing.
And more specifically, what American outsourcing looks like from other parts of the world.
Today, China.
Stay with us.
This week's Fact Smack is brought to you by Fortis 3D Production Systems. From your office to the factory floor, Fortis offers efficient digital manufacturing solutions for your business. Rock it at Fortis.com.
So I did a little Wolfram Alpha research on
Really?
China before this episode just to see what's up.
So what's up?
So the population of China, of course, is 1.35 billion. North America, including Canada, the USA, and the Mexican Peninsula, is 538 million.
Dang, meaning that the People's Republic of China has about 2.5 times more people than the entire North American continent.
And 66% of Chinese speakers
About 1.1 billion people.
speak Mandarin, or Standard Chinese, the official language of the People's Republic, but only 875 million of those
About 80%.
speak it natively.
Yeah, there's at least 9 other variants of Chinese that in some cases are roughly as different from each other as English is from Italian or French, each with millions of speakers.
The GDP of China is $5.3 trillion per year, about 1/3 of the USA's annual $15.3 trillion.
Really, according to 2008 estimates, the manufacturing product of China is about 1.79 trillion per year, making it the second largest manufacturer in the world. Yes.
Only the second?
That's right. Again, according to 2008 estimates, the #1 slot for country with the most value-added manufacturing per year is
Da-da-da.
the USA with 1.83 trillion per year.
That's right. Measured in total dollars, the USA is still probably the largest manufacturing nation in the world, followed closely by China. Japan is a distant third at about $1 trillion, and Germany is a very distant fourth at $767 billion, with Italy in fifth at $381 billion.
There you go. And guess what? The lowest manufacturing gross product in the world, ranked 208th, goes to the Caribbean British island nation of Montserrat.
Population 6,000, with a total land area of 39 square miles.
At $311,100 per year.
But we digress. Wolfram Alpha rocks. But the USA's gross value added manufacturing product is $5,922.33 for every man, woman, and child in the country.
And the People's Republic of China's total manufacturing product is only $1,627 per person, about 27% of the ratio in the U.S.
On the other side, Japan manufactures $7,874 per person, which is about 33% more than the U.S.
And Germany manufactures $9,344 per citizen, a whopping 58% more than the U.S.
And that might seem really high, but it's actually pretty dismal compared with smaller countries who rely on natural resources for most of their output. So Qatar, for example, manufactures $89,000 per capita.
Yes.
And Monaco
Love Monaco.
manufactures a whopping $212,000 per year, or about 3,579% more than the United States.
Yeah, so where does design play into all this?
Hello. We had an opportunity to speak with Liang Yun, industrial designer with OSIM International in Singapore, and a friend of mine from way back in the day.
You worked with her in Boston, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. Yeah.
And we asked her why she got into industrial design in the first place.
When I was in high school, right, I don't really have too much choice about design. I only can choose fashion design, industrial design, and graphic design. And I think industrial design is the most interesting among these three. So that's why I choose industrial design. And also the design range is very, very wide. So I think it might be a good choice. That's why I choose it.
Which is pretty interesting, right? I mean, first of all, the idea of an American high schooler choosing a career at 17 or 18 sounds pretty unthinkable to me.
I wasn't thinking about that. You're 29 and you still don't even know what you want to do with your life, Adam.
Touché. But
wait, aren't you 30?
Not quite. Not quite even 30. But I think a lot of Americans are aware that people in China don't have quite as much choice in their career path as we do. But and whether or not that's a good thing is up for grabs. But what was a bit more surprising was the amount of education that she has.
Yeah, right. So she has a bachelor's degree at Southern Yangtze University, a master's from Hong Kong Polytechnic, interned at Samsung in Shanghai, and then at Bose Corporation outside of Boston.
And this is interesting. Josh and I are both doofuses with bachelor's degrees, and in the States, it's still pretty uncommon for practicing industrial designers to have master's degrees in industrial design. But
I think it's really a cultural difference because having a master's degree in industrial design in China, right, is very common. So if you know a lot of Chinese designer, most of them have. I believe most of them have master degree. It's a common phenomenon in China. And I think the master degree really helped me because it's not only at practical side, but also theoretical. How to say, it can, when I do a design, I not only think about the micro detail, like how to make the design more nicer and something like that. It also I think the learning system, the master degree learning system, can help me to think about a product from a macro view. For example, when I do a presentation to my management, I need to think about how to sell the product and what is the marketing angle behind the product. I cannot only just show a beautiful and nice design to all the management.
And, you know, she makes a great point. If a master's degree could teach Adam a little business sense, I think we'd be a lot better off here at EVD.
Ouch. Yeah. Thanks, Josh. So I think that when most people think about offshoring manufacturing to Asia, we think of the kinds of scenes that we saw in the 2006 documentary called Manufactured Landscapes.
Oh, yeah.
You see millions of factory workers working on menial, repetitive tasks.
Menial. And that stuff is definitely real, but well-educated professionals like Liang Yun are more and more common and represent a bigger part of the Asian economy.
And they're not just catering to Western markets.
No.
I think it's still very hard for Asia designer design for U.S. market unless the Asia designer is grow up in U.S.
And conversely, probably it's very hard for Americans to design for a Chinese market.
I think so, unless they have this kind of culture.
Now, you've worked in China, in the U.S., now Singapore. How is the profession of industrial design different, do you think, between East and West?
Oh, if we talk about the creativity, right, I think U.S. is very strong. And if we talk about the efficiency, and then I think China might be very strong. But if you want to find a balance point, I think it's Singapore. Yes. If we say American industrial design system is a completed version, and then maybe my company is a light version. What I mean is, we have the full design process in our company. We do hand sketching a lot, and also 2D illustration. But the main difference compared to American is we don't do the research too much. Yeah. We only do research for our key product. For other small product, we don't do research too much. I think this is the main difference.
But American companies don't research everything they do either.
I think a lot of the differences that Lang Yun described to us in our interview between different cultures, have as much to do with the different kinds of companies that she's worked at than, them with big East-West cultural issues. Even in the U.S., I've worked with some companies who've had really rigorous methodological approaches to design and design research, but I've also worked with just as many who just kind of make it up as they go along.
We have both product-driven and brand-driven companies here in the U.S., and I imagine that's true of China as well?
Actually, it depends on how you look at it. In U.S., right, industrial design maybe is the major part to the company. But in Asia, in our company, branding is the major part to influence the whole company. So when we work on one project, right, we will listen to the marketing and work with the branding department a lot. And the branding department will involve a lot in the design process.
Yeah, that's really interesting. What's the most important software tool to know as an industrial designer in Asia?
Actually, if you want to know the most important software in China, I think it's Rhino. But in Singapore, it's Alias. Yeah, most of industrial designer here is using in Alias as software. Yes, as 3D CAD software.
So you see a lot of industrial designers using Rhino and Alias, but what does engineering tend to use?
Pro-E and SolidWorks.
And do you think CAD tools are important to your design process?
For industrial designer, right, they need to have the 3D sense, which means you cannot only draw, you cannot only hand sketching and do the 2D illustration, because you really need to feel how the real product will be. So you need to do the CAD so that you can feel the 3D view, and you can get more sense, get more feeling about the product itself.
Turns out, as in most parts of the world, a lot of different software is used in China. And with that, the desire for a better interface.
We asked what she would like to see changed in 3D CAD and rendering software, and the user interface definitely came to the top of the list.
If you want to talk about the rendering software like the Model and Keyshot, right? I think they still can improve their user interface, because a lot of CMF, I mean the color material finishing designer in corporate, most of them are female, right? So the current interface, I think, is a little bit complicated to them.
And another aspect that isn't often considered, I think, by the software developers is the actual person using it.
Yep. I think when we design software, we're usually talking about the user as if all users are the same. But I think Lang Yun has a really interesting point about making sure the user experience takes the more specific user into account.
The main target user for to use the rendering software are female user, I think, because most CNF designer are using the rendering software to render. Most of CNF are female, so maybe for the rendering software company, right? I think they can listen to more the female user, how they feel about the rendering software.
Different people, different software. Male, female versions. Yeah.
How many companies are really seriously taking gender into account when they're designing a user interface? I think it's an interesting question. It's definitely a fraught question, but interesting as well.
It is, and making the interface more simple while keeping the features. Wow, definitely something to consider, especially for those who work with different software, creating a wide variety of products.
Yes, actually, we design a wide range of products, from massage chair to small product like a pen. We design a lot of products, yes. So I like my current job. Very interesting.
Well, friends, we are out of time. Lang Yun, having you on the show has been even better than that time Adam stuffed his mouth full of sawdust and tried to sneeze the alphabet.
I did.
Thanks so much for being with us.
It's my pleasure. Thank you so much, Josh and Adam.
If you'd like to send mouthfuls of sawdust to EVD HQ, please address those to Adam.
And if you'd like to send videos of yourself trying to sneeze the alphabet, please address those to Josh. Engineer versus Designer, appreciate your comments. If you'd like to cuss, yell, and scream at us, head over to engineerversusdesigner.com and let her rip.
Do it. This week's episode is brought to you by Fortis 3D Production Systems. Fortis Systems produce accurate, durable prototypes and production-grade parts using high-performance thermoplastics. See it all at Fortis.com.
The show is edited by the Simon Martin. Our theme music is by Ross Hartman.
We'll see you next week. And remember, without designers, engineers would name their children with serial numbers.
And without engineers, designers would name their children after iconic chair designs.
I think that's actually a pretty good idea.
Wesley.
6389er.
A production of EVD Media.